Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Pitstop Fracas. I'm your host, Richard, and we're here today to review the Singapore Grand Prix. Here to help me with today's Grand Prix is none other than Mahad. Mahad, how are you doing today, bro?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Red Bull did not win the race. This is just we're living in Nirvana right now because this is what F1 would be like without Max Verstappen.
This is big facts, yeah. Look how good the race was with that robot doing Haaland shit. You know, we got Utopia. This is what Ross Brawn was cooking up, saying gets close to racing. We got 4-man racing for the lead. I can't remember last time that's happened. My time watching Formula One. I'm sure Mahad, with his encyclopedia, you'll be able to tell you, bro.
You're raising me. Don't do that.
And we're here today with none other than a friend of the show, Aldas. Aldas, it's been a while. How you been doing today, bro?
I am good. I can't believe it. A non-Red Bull win. It's unreal. I'm so glad to finally be talking about Singapore. Also, a good race around Singapore because that's not always usually the case. Usually it's one of those kind of, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of people kind of waiting behind everyone. There's no actual real overtaking. But, mate, everyone showed out in this race. So it was a lot of fun. And again, I can't believe it. Red Bull aren't going to win every single race. Like, it seems kind of crazy seeing that. But, yeah, lots to talk about. So looking forward to getting to it.
No, for sure. Like, I'm super glad Red Bull had an absolute, I won't say howler, but, they didn't at least get a podium. At least, but but let's get into with Quali. So Quali was probably arguably maybe Quali of the year, to be honest with you. It was actually really good qualifying, especially with track evolution and whatnot. And also, just Red Bull just not being able to get into gear. And we had a three-way fight for pole with both Ferraris and with George Russell. And I must watch a clip. There's usually a guy who does like how to put it, like animation of the drivers when they do the qualifications. I'm sure you're aware of it anyway, like side by side, if you will. And safe to say, both Leclerc and more or less George Russell bottled pole, to be fair, my humble opinion. But Adas, I'm going to come to you on this. What was your takeaways from Quali? And do you think maybe Carlos or Leclerc, no, sorry, not Carlos, George or Leclerc actually bottled pole?
I mean, my takeaway, first of all, we got to talk about Red Bull. I mean, they looked like they were struggling throughout practice, but I think it's one of those things. It was like when Mercedes was sometimes struggling, like during their dominance. You never really want to believe that they're actually going to struggle. And the moment they get into quali, you're just like, if they are going to qualify in pole, then you don't want to kind of act surprised as if, you were expecting it. But it was real. I mean, both of them getting knocked out in Q2. And I mean, if you saw Max's onboard, that guy was sliding around like that. I know people, called it the RB19 rocket ship, but mate, he was on ice. So yeah, clearly the car was not working. And Checo as well. Checo actually wasn't too far away from Max, which is hilarious. When the car is, really slow, he's actually quite competitive, which is brilliant. But other than that, I mean, the competitiveness up at the front was so good. I mean, Sainz was on it all weekend long. I don't know where he's been. I'm sure we're going to talk about him a little bit later on because he had a pretty good race, obviously. But yeah, seeing all those teams, even McLaren in the mix as well, I mean, we talk about, people bottling pole. Should we include Lando in that conversation as well? I mean, what do you guys think?
Matt, would you agree?
Absolutely not. No? Absolutely not. The car, this is not a car. This is not a track suited to the car. First of all, Ferrari kind of proved that they were the fastest all weekend throughout the practice sessions. I wouldn't say it's a bottled pole at all. I would say it's a bottled pole for a certain individual that is called Charles Leclerc, who is a specialist at qualifying and has out qualified Sainz twice. If that's your speciality as a driver and that's what you're known for, and then somebody that's inferior to you has out qualified you twice for pole, that's a conversation that needs to be had. So I think that's the person I'm bold.
Wow. I mean, to be fair,
Russell
we're also
put it all on the line as well.
Yeah, we've also got to talk a little bit about Lewis as well, because I think he was like half a second away from he was either half a second away from George Russell or Carlos Sainz, and that's too big. I think after the race, he was talking about it a little bit. He was like, I should have been on pole. He knows that qualifying, he really messed up. So I think Lewis is also another one of those where I think he should have done a lot better. And I think you're going to give him a much better chance to win in the race as well. But either way, it was still unbelievably exciting, I think, to actually see, a Russell. A lot of people were thinking that Russell was just going to crash into Sainz for some reason. So I don't know where they got that idea from. Is that his reputation now? But but no, qualifying was brilliant. And also, by the way, Stroll. What do we have to say about Lance Stroll? I mean,
Richard, Aston Martin fan. We need words.
I mean, look, it was a heavy crash, wasn't it? Like it was quite bad, to be honest with you. But was I sympathetic for about 5 seconds? No, I was only sympathetic for about 4 seconds because this is Stroll doing his best Charles Leclerc impression. Pushing it to the limit, then going over the limit, and then face the consequences. The car was that wrecked. The mechanic said, "No, you're not starting on Sunday." I know they could have fixed that somewhere. I know they could have fixed that.
Do you know what the mechanics did? They saw it and it looked like an IKEA flat pack, and they said, "I'm not doing that. It's too hot."
I'm not like. Keep in mind, these guys have got back to back. These guys have got back to back to Japan. Like the Aston Martin crew were just like, no, we don't want a late night on Sunday. We've got to fly out to Japan the next day, so forget it. Forget about this one, Let's focus on the next one.
To be fair, it was the right decision because, why would you want to build a car fit to finish P16 anyway? Like, well, what is the point? You're just wasting components. And
hold on.
It's wasted. It's true. Look, Alonso, we'll get to Alonso, but Alonso had an absolute howler today. The team as well, don't get me wrong, but he stunk as well in his defense. I know he's saying the car, he said, okay, here's the thing that you guys didn't hear, well, Mahad didn't hear. He said the car was undrivable, and it did look like that it was undrivable.
Had damage.
He did, to be fair, lap 2, but we'll get to that. He couldn't overtake
Perez on like dead tires.
Listen, there was a lot of things he did wrong, and also what Aston Martin did wrong. But we'll get to that. Don't worry. But let's stick to Quali. Yeah, Stroll. Yeah, that just kind of sums up the season. Tries to go over the limit. He got what he deserved. Had a howler. Yeah, only had one car starting today. But other than that, it was a great Quali. Haas got 2 cars into Q2. Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, that's just insane. To be fair,
especially K-Mag. I thought K-Mag was like. I thought he was on holiday for most of the season, so he turns up out of nowhere, only for qualifying, mind you. He had a bit of apparently there was a bit of K-Mag terrorism in the race from what I saw on Twitter, but no, both of the Haas, I mean, into Q3, who saw that coming? Again, ahead both of the Red Bulls, even the AlphaTauri of Liam Lawson as well. Shout out to Lawson. Tsunoda had a bit of a howler. I know he obviously got kind of blocked on his first run in Q2, but you should be getting through. He admitted he made a mistake as well, so I wasn't happy about that with Yuki locking up in Q2, but Lawson getting into Q3. I mean, what are we saying about that? The highest placed Red Bull.
Insane.
Bonkers.
That just shows how bad Red Bull was as well, because you shouldn't be getting out qualified by a customer team. They've really got that setup wrong this weekend. They looked like they had no mechanical grip. They just couldn't really turn in or slide on all over the place.
Up shifts as well, having the barometer. Yeah.
Like how usually we see that on a Friday and Red Bull turn it around on a Saturday because that's what they're known for. But this weekend they just rear off. To be fair, weeks ago they said Singapore were not going to be good. So they kind of understand their own car and they understand, look, we're going to write this one off because we're not particularly good at this track. It doesn't suit the characteristics of the car. And
yeah, but did you see this coming? Like this level?
I didn't see it this bad. I could see them not winning, but I didn't see them being this bad. They were bad. In qualifying, they were significantly worse than us.
Awful.
Horrible. And they're not really a good quality car anyway. I think like if we're talking about their weakness is the qualification because the margin's much closer to everybody else and their race pace is outstanding. But they got exposed in Singapore. And I don't know why. I think maybe because I have to make the ride height a little bit higher because it's a street track. I don't know exactly. It's probably all going to come out in the next couple of days, but it's bad.
I need to know from the panel as well. In terms of Max, I mean, he also had a bit of controversy during qualifying. What are we saying about all of the reprimands and him holding up Yuki? I want to know what the panel thinks over here because there was some BS going on right there.
I feel. Go on.
I think this is like 2019 where they were letting everything go, and then they used that as precedence moving forward. Yeah. So right now, the block on Yuki Tsunoda, that was a Stonewall penalty. impeding, right? But now people are going to use that example and saying it's not impeding. The same with Logan Sargeant and Stroll. That's Stonewall impeding as well. They're going to use these examples in the future to not give impeding, and they're going to give out reprimands. And we're never ever going to see impeding penalties again in qualifying. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but why would you set a precedent 15 races into a season?
I don't know. I have no. Do you know why? Do you know why I don't? Do you know why I don't know? Do you know what? Aldas, it makes no sense because K-Mag did the same thing in Belgium and he got a grid drop. He did the exact same thing. And
Leclerc in Monaco.
And the rationale for him blocking Leclerc, what they tried to argue was, he got the radio too late or he didn't get the radio, right? And now that's the excuse that's used by Max Verstappen and Logan Sargeant, and it's accepted. So now
I love that, by the way.
How does that make sense?
That's brilliant. So the reason why I impeded Yuki Tsunoda is because of poor communication. I mean, in the back of my mind, I'm like, isn't poor communication with your team kind of at fault for 99.9% of every single impeding incident ever? Like, unless you do it on purpose, which is obviously a different story. Like, of course it's always going to be because of bad communication, but you still like impeded another driver. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It stunk. It stunk a little bit, that decision, in my opinion.
To be fair, I think that because Red Bull didn't get into Q3, they used that as a punishment rather than to give them any penalties. To be fair, I feel like maybe if they go into Q3, maybe they would have leaned on maybe giving them like a 3-place grid drop or something. Maybe. But I feel like because they qualified 11th and 13th anyway, they were like, I suppose there's no point in giving them a grid drop. I mean, you should have done because he did, was it 3 infringements, was it, basically? I didn't get punished for any of them.
He did.
Yeah, he should have got something, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I can't lie. It's a weird one.
The thing is, I get the one in the final corner. There was, Max was it was crazy in the final corner because everyone was kind of going mad in terms of starting their laps. There was loads of traffic. I get that. But even the pit lane one was a bit weird where he was like stood still for such a long time. Like, I mean, Lewis got a penalty, 2 penalties even potentially, I think in Russia 2021 maybe, or for something similar to that. So it's just, I don't know, it was a bit weird, but it is what it is, FIA.
Yeah, I know. No, it's just these things. Brother Martz, good to see that you're nice and late. How are we doing today, bro?
Sorry, man, my laptop was just being mad today. I don't know why. Just a bit of a... It restarted this morning and it just decided not to work today. I'm not trying to log on.
Mahad, you're on me, bro.
What on earth is this audio, Martz? I can hear your TV. It sounds static. What's going on here?
Professionalism out the window, Martz. What's going on?
Oh my gosh.
I can hear plates. Brother, what I need you to do is we're going to put you in the lobby, and you're going to sort yourself out.
Hey, yeah, no, I'm ready. Sorry, I forgot to put the TV on mute.
He's watching the race in the background because he hasn't seen it yet. That's all it is.
Mate, I would not have missed this race for the world. Oh my gosh, I am here. I'm ready to talk about this race. Let's go. Oh my days, that was the most beautiful race. Best race of the year. I am so happy. It's been a perfect day. And so I'm just watching my Ravens win. And that will cap off a perfect day of sports for me.
Martz. Okay, so we're currently talking about Quali, yeah? Do you have any takeaways from Quali that you want to discuss or highlight at all?
The Red Bulls are shit, that's it.
Well, this world-class analysis on Pitstop Fracas, yeah?
Also, I think the Ferraris look really good. Again, Leclerc bottled another pole. I feel like he should be doing a lot better. You're the one that's known for Quali. Like George was like Mr. Saturday. You're kind of Mr. Saturday at Ferrari, and your teammates now gone 2 for 2 above you for poles. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Scary hours. It's true, it's true. Mr. Qualifying is getting done up for poles on his own backyard. Well, not backyard, but in his own team.
He did also bottle pole in Monaco as well, by the way. But we'll save that for another day.
Okay, we'll save that for another day. Don't worry, end the season. We'll break it down. But yeah, cool. Let's move on to, of course, the race. So, of course, Sainz qualified on pole. And I think he pretty much got a Grand Slam. So, yeah, Latifi won a race, got pole, which is pretty impressive from him, to be fair. But of course, in terms of the race win, it was probably one of the most impressive race wins I've seen in years, to be honest with you, from anyone. So I'm gonna come to you on this, Mahad. What did you think of Carlos Sainz's race win? And do you think it was a tactical masterclass, if you will, the way he was using to give Lando DRS to kind of hold off the mix and so on and so forth?
What we call this is big brain driving. This is what we're known. This is what Alonso is known for. This is like high IQ driving, understanding the scenario of the race, understanding where you are and where everybody else is around you and what their situation is, and actually leading your team strategy-wise to a victory. Right? There's always been words and murmurs that Sainz is a leader in the pad within his own Ferrari camp. He people look towards him in terms of strategy and moving forward, and he does give off that vibe of being a leader, right? And he dictated the tempo of the race in terms of slowing it down in the first stint, backing Russell up, preserving his tires, and then when it came to the second stint, absolute masterclass in controlling the pace, using Lando as a buffer against the Mercs. Because listen, I think when the VSC came out, I think it was a little bit too late for Sainz to come into the pit and for Lando. So Merc took advantage of that by pitting and putting on the fresh mediums because they had an extra set of mediums. And they could have just gone into panic stations at Ferrari and decided, look, what we're going to do here, maybe we should pit next lap, so on and so on. But they decided we're going to stay out there, and the whole race he preserved his tire. He had the race under control. And I think for Sainz, I think that's the best performance of his career, that race. I genuinely do. I feel like he's really qualifying, practice sessions on it, got to the race on it from the jump, had a really, really fantastic start. Him and Leclerc had a great start, both Ferraris off the line. And he managed the early pressure from Leclerc on the softs, got through that wave, got through the first initial Russell wave, and understood that, look, the McLaren's not faster than me. Let me just manage the pace here and manage the race. And when that situation popped up with the Mercedes and then pitted and them charging up the field, just created his own DRS train and won the race. So superb, 10 out of 10 drive.
No, 100%. Aldas, would you like to add any words onto Sainz's brilliant performance today?
To be honest, it's actually more that I'm really glad that he's got this second win and that Silverstone is kind of not his only win, because I always go back to 2022, that Silverstone win. That's not even like one of his top 3 drives, in my opinion. Like, he wasn't even the best Ferrari driver that day. Like, it was more Leclerc and Silverstone that kind of got done over by the strategy because they kept him out. So it always kind of annoys me because Sainz is a quality driver. You know, if he's a world championship caliber driver, maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I'm glad that he's got this win where undoubtedly this is his best performance in terms of pressure. Yeah, I think a lot of people are just going to go straight to, oh, you know, it's difficult to kind of overtake around Singapore. And obviously, you know, he had Leclerc to back him up, but he managed the pace so well. He went quickly when he needed to. He went slowly when he needed to. And I think he just did a really good job. I mean, again, it was a team effort. I do think Leclerc did play a small part. I think Leclerc also kind of got a little bit unlucky because he had to wait because both of the Mercedes were double stacking as well. So he was always going to fall. At first, I thought Ferrari maybe kind of like, you know, done him a little bit. But when I actually looked back, Leclerc, he was always going to fall behind the Mercedes and maybe the McLaren as well, because he had to wait the entire time for Lewis to go into his pit box. But I think Ferrari kind of maximized it. They used both of their drivers. And again, Sainz right at the end. You know, if he kind of keeps pushing right at the end and doesn't give Norris DRS, I don't know. Maybe Russell gets it done. Maybe he just has enough pace over Norris because, you know, Lando doesn't have the DRS and potentially it's a win thrown away. So it was a smart drive. And yeah, it's definitely, I think, his best performance ever, given, you know, that this is a win. This isn't for, you know, he's had great podium performances, but you know, when you're fighting for a win, it's different pressure. So, and listen, back-to-back amazing performances. I think he also maximized Monza as well, outperforming Charles kind of, you know, over the last couple of races. Is this now going to continue to the end of the season? How's Charles going to bounce back? Does he have the dog in him to kind of, you know, still finish ahead of Sainz by the end of the season? I can't wait to see how that little battle plays out. I'm not going to lie.
One thing I wanted to say is, what does it look like on paper if Sainz beats Leclerc 2-1 in seasons?
Boy, scary.
The only thing,
scary hours.
The history book won't be kind to that.
Actually, let me quickly. Okay, in Leclerc's defense, real quick. I mean, let's give Sainz his flowers right now. But listen, when Ferrari about 18 months ago, when they had a championship winning car, where was Sainz? Where was Sainz? When was Sainz when it really mattered? It was Leclerc who was fighting for the race wins. When Ferrari kind of were in a sort of title fight for the first kind of third of 2022, Leclerc was the one that was actually challenging for the title. And kind of, that's my next question. Yes, Sainz has been amazing now. Yes, he might beat Leclerc, but next time Ferrari do have a championship winning car, I don't want to see none of these kind of disappearing performances like he had at the beginning of 2022, because that's when it really matters.
Listen, Sainz is really fighting for that contract, boy. As far as I'm ready as a Saudi.
I just want to say, you switch the two drivers in the positions they are. Charles loses that. And he goes onto the radio screaming at Xavi, going, "Why did we not pit at the VSC? Why did we not pit at the VSC?" And that is it.
I don't think Charles
doesn't have that IQ to win that race. Yeah, he doesn't have that IQ to win that race. I think I was watching that performance and I was like, "Wow, Sainz, you're really, really doing your thing here." I mean, I've never seen like a driver outside Alonso or Lewis as well really show that type of IQ, and that is like next level IQ from Sainz. And I think you just got to give him his props. As someone said, it's a bit of a purple patch at the moment, so I won't really go on and say anything about him being the better driver than Charles, but I think if you're looking for a number one driver for the rest of the season, Sainz is your guy, because he's the one putting out the performances. And then maybe next year, if you build a better car, we'll see what Charles Leclerc is on. But for now, it just seems like Charles is a bit lost and Sainz is the one really pulling that Ferrari. And literally, they're literally creeping up on Mercedes now for points, so they can battle for second in the constructors.
No, for sure. Sure. All I was going to say is, listen, don't let Sainz get 2 more wins this season, because you know what I'm going to tweet. I'll let you do the maths. Don't let Sainz get 2 more wins this season, because you know I'm going to tweet. Last time I did it with Checo and so-and-so, and boy, they got in a rage.
Richard, who's got a better polka version? Who's got a better polka version?
So we're doing, yeah?
Apparently, if Sainz lost today, he would have the same pole conversion rate as Leclerc.
Really?
Mad.
Damn.
Somebody tweeted that. Because he's not got, how many poles has he got? I think he's got 5.
He's got 4. He's got 4. No, I think he's got 5. Yeah, he's got 5.
He's got 5.
Yeah.
5. Wow. He's got that many poles.
He's got more than Alonso or Ferrari. That's the maddest stat.
Oh, yeah, he's got more poles than Alonso and Ferrari. Ferrari's in 2 title fights.
What does that say about Fernando, though? Do we need to be propping Fernando a bit
Washed.
more?
Hey, not today. Not today. Not when he got dunked on. No, not today. We're not doing that. Never.
Damaged car from lap 2. Don't forget it. Damaged car from lap 2.
It was.
I don't give a. Anyway, let's go.
No. Listen. I'm going to defend Fernando Alonso. I'm like the dream team. Johnny Cochran, mate. If I'm here, I'm going to defend Fernando Alonso. Don't you forget it.
This ain't the race to do it, though. Tell you that.
I know this is the worst race of the season.
If Alonso was doing defending, maybe he wouldn't be where he was, innit? That's what I'm going to say.
Tell me how many drivers in their career have done over 100,000 kilometers, have driven over 100,000 kilometers, exactly.
And look at the stinker he put up.
It's true in F1 like Le Mans. That's what he's doing. I'm just trying to get mileage out of it.
That's crazy.
Exactly, yeah.
That's crazy. That's good. Let's move on to the next topic, and let's move on to Martz's favorite driver, George Russell. So, George Russell qualified. What did he qualify against? He put P2, wasn't it? Yeah, he qualified for P2.
Front row.
And yeah, front row. And he was in P3 fighting for the win. But then on the last lap, he bottles it, hits the wall.
Mahad, he was on the last lap.
I was also on the last lap.
Hey, look at it.
The difference is Mahad didn't bottle it, though.
Hey, true. I don't drink as well, allegedly. So, but yeah, and he done a F1 manager style crash, and he's just on the radio. Oh, I really wanted this win. And look what happened. Look what a bit of pressure does off Lewis. A little bit of pressure because Lewis was on his ass. Like, Lewis was ass bad. And George went hacking it. I can tell George he just didn't have the pace or whatever it was. Really and truly, low key, Lewis should ask for team orders, but that's not here nor there. So, Martz, I'm gonna come to you on this, right? What did you think of George's performance today, and why do you think George basically bottled it under pressure? Do you think it's because of Lewis, or maybe do you think it's because of like he maybe got into his head too much that he wanted to win so bad that he just lost all composure, really?
George was doing really well this race up until that moment. I think he was he really wanted that win. He was chasing down Lando. He realized that it's the final lap. I've got to do something now if I want to at least get this win. Maybe I might be able to chase down Sainz in the last ditch attempt on the line. And he was he just went too wide and clipped the wall and just went into the wall. And it just kind of just ruined everything for him. I don't think the pressure that Lewis was putting him under helped either, because Lewis obviously realized like, well, neither of us are going to get the win. So I want to try and get P3. And I think Lewis put him under a bit of pressure, and that pressure combined with wanting to win kind of overwhelmed him a little, and he crashed. He behaved like Charles Leclerc. That was it. It was very, very uncharacteristic of George, but it is what it is. That's what I said. I don't have to go too deep into about George today. I'd say it wasn't a terrible performance from him. It was just a bozo moment on the last lap. And he kind of always shits himself when Lewis comes up behind him as well. He just doesn't know how to act. He's just not that guy. And I suppose it's about the respect he has for Lewis, but you've got to be a bit tougher there now. It's been 2 years now. You've been teammates. Show a bit of bottle when you're going up against Lewis.
No, yeah, for sure.
But also, I just wanted to say about just Lewis as well. It was something I noticed Lewis was doing. So Lewis was about 2 or 3 seconds behind George. Anytime they weren't really battling. But as soon as it came to George was within a second of the car in front, Lewis was literally right there. Within the lap, he was within that DRS of George, just ready to pounce. And I think that type of pressure was just amazing. And we were talking about Sainz's racing IQ. It just showed Lewis's racing IQ as well. He's staying far enough back and saving his tires so he doesn't overheat the car, he doesn't destroy his tires. But then when it comes to when he has to attack now, he has enough tires, and it's why he was able to put George under so much pressure, and why George kind of went wide a bit, because his rear tires were finished basically. So he'll learn. He'll learn.
Yeah, he'll have to fight another day. It's not the end of the world, to be honest with you. But
there's no need to cry on TV.
Yeah. Aldas, I'm gonna come to you on this. Do you think we maybe need to ask questions about George Russell? Do you think maybe he's building himself a bit of a reputation of maybe being a bit of a bottler? Or do you maybe think that's a bit too premature?
No. It's too premature. I completely agree with Martz in terms of like it was a bozo moment. Listen, it was such a weird mistake as well. It wasn't like he was over driving or going too fast or out of control. He just clipped the wall. Like he was just a little bit too far over to the right. Now, Lando actually said that he did the same thing, and I saw in the replay. Lando also clipped the wall on that same lap, but he didn't do it to the same extent. So it was just one of those concentration. It was just one of those concentration things. Let's not forget that, the circumstances around which he got his first Grand Prix win as well. Like when he was put, in Sao Paulo, Lewis was chasing him all the way, especially right towards the end of the race, I should say. And, he held his nerve, he held his bottle. So it was just a mistake. I still think he did a great job in qualifying. I think, but the thing is, we did see though, in the race, I mean, there was no doubt to me, Lewis was the better driver in the race. And it actually leaves me kind of, in a weird way, it leaves me more frustrated with actually Lewis, where he even said it himself after the race. He needed to qualify better. He had the pace to put, everyone under pressure. And even when both of them pitted after the VSC, even though obviously everyone was focusing on the gap from Russell Russell to Leclerc, Lewis was actually catching everyone quicker. He was actually catching Russell, just as they were catching the pack. So he was definitely the quicker driver. Obviously took the fastest lap of the race as well. And really weird at the end of the race. I mean, Lewis was closer to George than George was to Lando on like 40, lap old hards. So it was just, I think it was one of those cases where Lewis really kind of was the better race driver. Again, we talk about race IQ. Yes, pushing and getting the most out of your car, but not pushing too much so that when you do get there, that you don't run out of tires. Because that's what George did. He ran out of tires. Even Martin Brundle said it on the commentary, the rear of that Mercedes is now moving. He's got the best, he's got the best of the life out. The tires is gone. And Lewis was putting pressure on George. I do think had the roles been reversed and it was Lewis who was ahead after the virtual safety car, and when both of them pitted, I honestly think Lewis gets the dub. I think he saves his tires enough, he catches up the pack, and he overtakes them quick enough. So, yeah, George, it's going to be a learning experience for him. We saw him after the race. I mean, his head was low. So, but yeah, I don't think we should judge him too much, but it was a bozo moment for sure that I think he's going to look, but this one's going to sting for a while.
Yeah, for sure. It was unfortunate, really, but I suppose, it's a massive learning curve for him, because you can't be doing that when Mercedes finally gets properly competitive, or else, it'll just be Charles Leclerc from Kings Lynn, and you don't really want to be doing that, do you? Then he's getting beats off Carnes Hill, and then he's putting songs on Spotify. It's a bit mad, really. But that leads me on to my next question, actually, and that is: could Lewis have won, especially if he was in George's position? Mahad, I'm coming to you on this. Of course, Lewis was clearly the quickest driver on track. I mean, that's why he got the fastest lap. If he was fortunately in P3, do you think Lewis would have won a race today? Or do you think the defense of Lando and Carlos would have been maybe a bit too much for him?
I'm just going to make it like quite plain and simple for people just to listen and have a think about it. Both the Mercedes cars had the fastest race pace in the race. Both of them. Whether it would be, I think it was Lewis first and Russell second. They were the fastest cars on track in race pace, right? And you have a Lando Norris and a Carlos Sainz on dead tires ahead of you. So, you are the fastest car on track. You got two guys with dead tires in front of you. Where Mercedes, if you make a decision between the two, who's going to be in front, Russell or Lewis, you go for the win that way. You don't do what they did where they're just directly right behind each other and they're trying to hustle Lando down the track. One of you just go ahead and do your thing. And if you can't do it, get the other person, switch positions and let the other guy do it. You have to do it as a team. You're running out of laps. You're towards the end of the race. You're on fresher tires. You're faster car. You got to make the move. Russell had the opportunity to make the move. He was halfway alongside Lando. He only had one opportunity to overtake Lando. Lando defended it well. It was done from there for them. Obviously, Russell had his situation. I'm not going to speak on it. You lot spoke on it. But one thing about Russell, that's going to be on his highlight reel for the rest of his life. So that's what's embarrassing, because it's not about, he bottled a win, whatever. That crash there, when people talk about Russell 10 years from now, that clip's going to come up. So that's why he's so beat up about it, because even if he wins after and he wins championships like that, people are going to remember that one. Secondly, Lewis, if he was in that position, he was the fastest man on track. I think he gets the move done. If you get the move done on Lando, it's over. Sainz is finished, because the Mercedes is faster than the Ferrari, and the Ferrari is obviously it's in clean air, but it's got no DRS. You're going to take him in a DRS zone. So the win was there. I feel like this might have been the only opportunity Mercedes gets to win this year, and it's gone.
It's a bit too reminiscent of last year, isn't it? About Zandvoort.
Unless they become a 2004 Ferrari when we get to Brazil. I think this is the last chance, and it was gone. And Ferrari took the opportunity instead. And I feel like now we're gonna be in a season where we don't have a British winner. I feel like we haven't had a. I think it's been like 50 years. I think every season we've had a British winner,
Mad.
at least.
Mad.
But
That's crazy.
it's done.
Bloody Brexit, man.
Not for me to be British biased, but yeah, I definitely think the opportunity was there for Lewis to win, and I'm gonna have to go back to it, and I don't want to say it, and it's gonna be the truth hurts, yeah, but you got to qualify better. Russell dunked your head. That shouldn't happen. The gap was
by a big margin as well.
No, okay. You said Russell qualified, Lewis qualified better. Yeah, that's true. But at the end of the day, what happened at the beginning of the race? He had to give a position back that he really shouldn't have had to.
He should have given it back to
my
Russell.
point. My point is the Lando one. My point is, sorry, Aldas, just 1 second, yeah.
It's all right.
Aldas, was he going to make the corner? Let's say Lando didn't exist. Was he going to make the corner?
I mean, if Lando doesn't exist, I think he makes the corner. But I think because Lando, he doesn't. I think he was under control in his car. The reason why he doesn't make the corner is because he doesn't want to, obviously, because George is there. But if Lando doesn't exist, then he can just slow down and kind of, go behind George. But Lando is already kind of in the slipstream with George. So Lewis wasn't going nowhere. He chose the right thing. He abided by the rules. He was definitely right to give it back to George because that was, you can't overtake like that. Like, obviously, he overtook George off the track. The Lando one, though, I've seen it like 3-4 times now. He is under control of his car. Like, he is well ahead of Lando Norris. It ain't even side to side. It's a difficult one. It's tight, but I don't know. I thought it was harsh for him to have to give it back to Lando. The George one I understood.
Yeah.
Also, he should overtake Lando in the first stint.
I think Mercedes.
It ain't that easy.
You're in a faster car.
Well, not that faster. I mean, it wasn't as if the McLaren. Hold on. Let's not just the McLaren is not the McLaren of Bahrain. Let's just chill out a little bit, right?
Sector 2 is a very stinky car. It's a very stinky car.
Can you overtake in Sector 2? You can't overtake in Sector 2. That's the tight section.
He's a McLaren fan,
you can close it up.
Downplay the McLaren. He's trying to make
out that it's a Haas.
The Norris source.
No, listen. All I'm saying is McLaren got P2 in the third fastest car. So technically, he should be P5.
Whatever.
This is what you're doing, Mahad, yeah?
You just do this to boost Norris stock. This is very nasty, bro.
I don't need to
boost
this
is stock manipulation right here.
Exactly.
No, this ain't stock manipulation.
We're familiar with your game.
I'm just telling the people what happened. And another McLaren
your
driver from P17 to P7. I'm just letting you know what's happening.
Was a great drive, by the way. That was such an underrated drive. P17 to P7 around Singapore. Piastri was on one.
That's what you call generational talents.
Ended up behind him.
I mean, it was a good drive, but it wasn't because it was overtakes. There was a lot of switcheroos and pit stops. Kind of how he ended up. Kind of like how Max ended up in P2 in Russia. You made the right decision.
Yeah, but that was because of weather, though. Come on.
Huh? Yeah,
that was because of the weather.
Because of a safety car. Because of a safety car, why Piastri ended up P7. It's not like it was.
And that's why Max
drive where he got past everybody.
Listen, that's why Max didn't win today because the second seat.
Do you know how much places Piastri gained at the start off the line?
3.
He had the second fastest reaction time as well. Come on. And the first
Hey, listen, let's move to Piastri. Go on, Martz. Mahad, talk your shit, bro. On Piastri. P17, P7, generational drive. Certain man could never.
People have to understand this guy's a rookie. I think people forget. I genuinely think people forget this guy's a rookie. And what he's doing is insane. He was in a boat at the beginning of the season. Absolute boat of a car. Managed to take every opportunity that was given to him. Now the car's a little bit more competitive. He's grabbing the car and every opportunity by the balls. And he's showing composure. He's showing maturity. He even got fucked over in qualifying because of Stroll having that crash. He was clearly going to get through out of Q1. And you know what he just said? He said, you know what? Recovery. No problem. Second fastest start off the line. Fastest guy that wasn't on softs off the line. Gained multiple positions in the beginning of the race. Was tangoing that terrorist Perez for a little bit. Which that guy, we're going to speak about him later because I don't know what was going on today. And just calmly got himself a P7 back into the points. No problem at all. Less upgrades than Lando Norris. The guy's continually embracing. This is what a rookie should be. This is the standards of a rookie. It should be like this. Not like De Vries, not like Logan Sargeant. I feel like we've had a low bar for rookies for a while. Since Russell and Russell, Leclerc and Lando. We've had some bad rookies. And this guy's showing what the levels are right now.
For sure. No, for sure, 100%. Yeah. Oscar in the points. I was writing predictions as well. I kept the faith, Mahad. I kept the faith. I said in your predictions thing, I said, yeah, he'll get in the points easy. Generational driver, no problem. Now look at that. Look how God works. But yeah, let's move on to a certain Mexican, and that is Sergio Perez. Now, Sergio Perez, of course, was in the headlines because of a certain Red Bull employee making derogatory comments about him. But he decided today to respond by doing up terrorism on the track for whatever reason. Maybe just caught up in a wave of anger. And he actually ruined, I think, 2 people's races. I know he ruins Yuki's race. And he also tried to ruin, or he did ruin Albon's race as well. Yeah. Which really, and then he actually got a 5-second penalty after the race for it. But because he had so much of a buffer on Liam Lawson, it didn't make no difference. No, we've kind of seen this before. I think it was in, what was it? I think it was Jeddah 21. That happened to like Max. Where he got like an irrelevance after the race penalty. Yeah, kind of, I don't know. Or maybe it was, I can't remember. It was somewhere in that year anyway. But yeah, I'm going to come to you on this, Aldas. What did you think of Checo's performance today? And do you think it was maybe a Hall of Fame stinker?
Do you know what I find actually really funny about this performance? Actually, the entire weekend. Compared to Max, this is actually one of his better weekends, like relative, like comparing to where Max was as well. Like he wasn't too far off him in terms of like time in qualifying. He wasn't too far off him like on the track. But I mean, if this was, however, regardless of that, this was a big stinker by Checo. It's hilarious because even Max, there was like some replay of Max like passing a Haas into the chicane. It looked smooth. It looked committed. And then you see that replay of Checo like absolutely just bumper carring his way through Alex Albon. And it's just like, he's not that guy. He can't just, slice through the field like Max Verstappen. That Yuki thing as well, like the Alex Albon thing was slam dunk, by the way. Like that's a penalty all day long. The Yuki thing I was also really annoyed about because I saw that after the race. It was such a half-hearted dive. Like you either commit to it and go side by side. He was like barely near Yuki's like right rear wheel, stuck his nose, at the curb. And obviously Yuki doesn't even know he's there. Like he's just turning in for the corner. At a corner where no one really overtakes and, sends him out of the race. And I mean, I feel sorry for Yuki because like he's now going to come under pressure. There's no doubt about it, back-to-back non finishes, didn't even start in Monza. Like the pressure's going to mount on Yuki. So I'm not, I'm not very happy on that front. But in terms of Sergio Perez, I think he's quite lucky that Red Bull was so bad in this race because this driver is going to go, I think, a little bit under the radar. People are going to forget about this driver, especially if they're competitive in Suzuka. But this was an all-time stinker by Sergio Perez.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, boy, I don't even know what to say. I know. I mean, Mahad, do you think maybe his time's up at Red Bull? Or do you think it's just, just a one-off occurrence, if you will?
His time is up, but they're going to fulfill the contract because I think they're thinking, look, we're not going to rock the boat. We're already winning constructors. I feel like the second they feel like everybody else is caught up to speed with them, let's say a Mercedes or Ferrari next season, if that happens, they'll not kick him out immediately. They'll buy him out the rest of his contract and they'll get somebody else in there because they can't go toe-to-toe with other teams with Perez as his second driver right now because his form's dropped off a cliff, man. And it is getting scary. The Yuki Tsunoda one, he just decided, you know what, I'm ending your race here. We're done. It's just some of the most half-hearted driving you ever seen in your life. And you can see where Max ended up and you see where Perez ended up. There you go, man. And this is supposed to be a car where, when the car is a little bit out of sorts, Perez is supposed to be able to handle that. It's not really looking like he can handle it at all. You can't handle the car when it's fast, can't handle it when it's slow. So I feel like really depending on what the performances are looking like at AlphaTauri, one of those guys might take the seat. I don't know what Daniel's going to look at when he comes back. Lawson looks good. Yuki Tsunoda's just been robbed in the last 3 races. He hasn't raced in the last 2 races, basically. Didn't start in Monza, got taken out lap 1 here, had the worst strategy of all time, and Zandvoort told him go on a soft 50 laps when he was in the points. It's just some of the most biggest sabotaging you ever seen in your life. And then he's getting taken out by the sister team. So we'll see what happens, but they definitely got options. I think Red Bull definitely want to be a player in the 2025 market as well. So they'll definitely won't renew his contract for 2025. And they might only just give one of these guys a 1-year contract, whether it be Daniel, whether it be somebody else. They're going to give him a 1-year contract. So they're available for that talk with all the drivers being free agents for 2025.
They're trying to steal your boy, mate.
They can let that happen and they can have their headaches because you think Lando Norris is going to ever listen to team orders. Good luck to you. Let Max through, have a laugh. That's never ever going to happen. Or don't fight with Max.
You're presuming that Norris is ever going to be ahead of Max. I mean,
why would he join a team? So why would Lando Norris join a team to be a second driver?
Get race ones
like that. Think about.
He might be a second driver next year, mate. The way Norris is going, or the way Piastri's going.
And I'll be happy. And I'll be happy. That means we've got an absolute generational talent as a driver in his second season in Formula 1.
It's giving Neymar PSG.
Like I said this already. I'm definitely not bothered if Lando Norris leaves because we've got Oscar. I'm quite happy.
It's true. It's giving Neymar PSG, Mahad.
Neymar PSG.
Yeah. No, because he left Barca to go PSG to be number 1, and
Red Bull pay the release clause. Give us some money. Pay out the contract.
How much? 5 million.
Nah, man. What? Lando's on like 20 mil a year. Give us 20 more.
Hey, Lando's eating you now. Fucking hell. 20 mil a year.
Yeah, he's getting good money, man. But I think, Red Bull, Perez is in trouble. Perez, you need to start thinking about your next move, mate. Try to get the Sauber seat or something. You need to sort something out. He needs to try to find a Williams seat, something.
Hey, bring him back to Aston Martin, bro. We've got vacancies.
You want him at Aston Martin? Replace Stroll?
Yeah, I'll take it back. Yes.
That's a good move, I never actually thought about
it. Yeah.
That was supposed to be the move in 21. Yeah. Really should have been alongside Vettel, but, politics. But yeah, I'll take it back on Aston Martin 100%. He'd be way better.
The team really like him as well. They never wanted to lose him. Like, the team like him, obviously.
Yeah, because he was
he saved that team, innit?
Yeah, during administration, I think he was paying like people's wages and shit like that. Like he was contributing his own money. To be fair, so yeah, they fuck with him heavy. Remember, he was there for like I think about 10 years, something like that. He was there for a long, long time. To be fair, so yeah, I'll take him back 100%. But anyway, let's move on to the robot that is Max Verstappen. Now he actually qualified P11 because he was having problems with his car all weekend. And he managed to get a nice little recovery drive to P5. So what I want to ask is, because Red Bull obviously starts on the hards and they hope to go long, of course the safety car fucked them over on like lap 20, whatever it was. I'm coming to you on this, Martz. Martz, you think if the safety car didn't come out when it did, the full safety car, do you think maybe Max was in contention for a win today, possibly?
No. That car looked bad. That car looked arse all weekend. It looked like a Fiat Punto. That's what it looked like. That was not the Red Bull I know, man. That car was terrible. Oh my gosh. And I loved every second of it. Every second of it, yeah? We see when Lewis overtook him. Oh my gosh.
Hey, small endorphins. Small endorphins. I love it. You like I love it.
Were just going, hey. Yeah, I love that. I love that, man. The car. I don't think so. I think wherever they had if the safety car didn't come out, I think all the cars were still quite close and bunched up together. The reason why cars started to back off was because of Max. Max was losing time to everybody else. No, but that's when the more Dolphins went off as well. Like I saw Max P6 +9. I was like, yeah, I love this. I love this. Oh my gosh, I'm in my element. Yeah. I don't think the Red Bull could do anything more today. I think they just really, And they did say that Singapore was going to be a bad track for them. They generally didn't think they were going to do well. They couldn't get a setup right on during the practice, and it was just they were suffering. Like they were just swinging side to side. They were just dancing on ice. That's what that Red Bull looked like. Yeah.
Well, moving like you, Skew and Galliconia. Just so the guy moving like the Red
Please,
Bull.
I wasn't at Carnival. Please don't do that to me. Please, man. It's spoiling the brand.
Hey, listen, someone said it, innit? Someone said it wasn't me.
Listen,
blame someone
listen.
who's currently in Ghana.
Hey, listen, yeah, you see that up? You see that up? Oh my gosh. I've got words for him.
You can't have agendas against cast members, man.
I actually have a real agenda. I have a real agenda against that guy because he always messed something up for me. I'm not going to say too much on the pod, but it's yeah.
Interessante. Mahad, before you dip out, I'll come to you on this. Do you think what did you think of Max's performance today? Because I can't lie, on the second stint, yeah? Was it the second stint?
When he got
Basically
off them
after
hards, he was rapid. He was unbelievable.
He made up like what 15 seconds on Charles and like 4 laps, something crazy like that.
That also, like, what happened to Charles on the second stint? I don't understand. They put him on hard.
Tires fell off, bro.
I don't really understand. Like, when the Mercs overtook him, he was like 15 seconds back. I was like, what's going on here? Why has he just dropped off so badly?
This man stay off.
No, I didn't understand that because everybody else was on similar tires, but he couldn't maintain them. He just dropped off completely. But yeah, Max, unbelievable in the second stint. Managed to recover. It was actually, I think he was like the 4th fastest guy on track behind the Mercs and the Sainz. So that's how fast he was going. He's faster than Lando Norris. So there was speed in that car when they put it on mediums, but the hards were horrible in that first stint. This guy was breathing heavy trying to get past Ocon. Like, it weren't looking good for he was like going life and death with K-Mag. Like, this is not really the pace that we were expecting from Red Bull. But the second stint, when he started getting on low fuel, he was on the mediums. He looked quite good out there, unlike his teammate. So, yeah, good recovery drive. Collected some points. P5.
Did he look good, or was everybody else on old tires?
What do you mean? He's on mediums.
Everyone else, yeah, and everyone else around him was out on older tires.
Yeah, but he boxed. He's only boxed once. There's people that boxed twice.
Around him, not everyone around him boxed twice. Everyone they boxed earlier.
No, he overtook all those guys like Gasly and all the people that were ahead of him.
Yeah, but who did he overtake afterwards? Wasn't it? Well, just Ocon and Alonso, innit?
Alonso, just forget about Alonso.
And exactly, Alonso's car damage, and then
I'm not talking about overtakes. I'm just talking about sheer pace. He was looking quick.
To be fair, Max pitted I think Max pitted on lap 40 to put on a set of mediums. And so by then, everyone who was one stopping, apart from the 2 Mercedes, everyone was on old tires pretty much, I think, at that point.
Yeah, like Piastri was on old tires. Everybody that he overtook.
Yeah, everyone looks.
I'm saying he looked quick, man. He was gaining time once he was in.
Everybody looks quick in clean air. It's fine. He wasn't racing against
some
anybody.
don't. Ask Leclerc.
Huh?
Some don't. Ask Leclerc.
Ask Bottas. Bottas did the exact same strategy.
Yeah, but they're special cases. They're special cases.
By the way, Leclerc finished, I just checked, 21 seconds off Sainz, off the win.
What happened?
No pace.
But he was on one stopper like the other guys, and he just dropped off. He was behind Norris. He was on the same exact strategy. Apart from
and he started on softs.
He started on softs. He went softs to hard. And them guys went from mediums to hard. I don't know why.
Charles Leclerc just gave up, and I don't get it. Why did you give up?
I don't know if he gave up. I think he tires. He nearly went into the back of Norris, though. Do you see that?
Yeah.
That would have been a disaster.
Oh my god,
that would have sent off even more endorphins.
I think that would have been that would have been content for this podcast and F1 Twitter for like a month straight, minimum.
Oh my god, fam. We would have vital. Elon Musk playing us 10
I would
grand.
have dropped another TikTok.
No, we got a new cover. We got a new cover for the pod though, just for Aldas.
Yeah, I see that.
We got a cover for it. But no.
Oh wait, was that the one? Was that the one Russell going into the barrier that I saw?
Yeah, that's the.
Oh,
that's
that
the
goes
cover
hard.
of
To
the
be fair, that goes hard. Yeah, fair enough. I'll allow it.
What do you think, Aldas? I want to ask you a question, probably. What do you think is up with Charles Leclerc?
I honestly think that it's. I do. Do you know what really frustrates me is that I'm going to defend him. I still think that if you put him in a title-winning car, like I go back to what happened last year. Yes, he made a load of mistakes, but at least he actually challenged Max. This season, I think he's had the pace, but he's having a proper bad patch. Like in qualifying, he doesn't seem to be the same guy. Like especially in Monza, fair enough. Obviously, Sainz got the slipstream. I get that, but here, I don't know what happened. Like he should have been up there with Sainz. But he needs to listen. The season's not over. I still think that when it counts, and I want to hear from you guys, when you put him in a title car, like who would you have more trust in a championship winning car up against Hamilton and Verstappen, Sainz or Leclerc?
Well, like right now.
Just right now.
If we're talking right now, I'm saying Sainz.
Over the course of a season, though. I'm not talking about a championship fight is not 2 races, by the way. I'm talking about over a season.
No.
Yeah, no, of course.
Let me say this. I think if it's close with the other cars, I'd rather have Sainz. If he's got a car advantage, Leclerc's going 30 seconds up the road because he's fast. We're seeing like Australia last year. He's gone. Spain last year, he's gone. I don't think Sainz has got that ability, but I feel like if it's a tactical mind games type of thing, I think Sainz is the better option. But if it's pure pace, absolutely not.
I want to hear what Martz has to say.
On what?
Leclerc, or if you had to put one of these guys in a title-winning car, what is it? Leclerc or Sainz over the course of a season?
They're not winning it. They'll find a way to bottle it. I'm sorry. I don't. They will find a way to bottle it. I'm telling you this. What they'll both. Sainz will start off really bad, and then he'll make it look good for the rest of the season. Charles Leclerc he'll start off really well, and then he'll just start bottling random laps and do what he did in France last year and just crash it for no reason. But I think if I have faith in anyone, it will probably be Charles Leclerc because he's a faster driver. While Carlos has an IQ, Carlos does not start the season well at all most of the time. And he's a purple patch driver.
I think, yeah, in a one-off race, I'll pick Charles because obviously he's unbelievable over one lap pace in it. But I think in a championship decider where you have to use a lot of IQ, I might if Sainz can keep on this form, it's not a purple patch, I lean more towards Sainz because I think, like what Martz was saying before, I think if you put Charles in Sainz's position, I don't think he'll use Lando as a buffer. I think he'll just try and boot it and just try and make a gap between Lando and then just end up sacrificing a win. Whereas Sainz is more calculated on that aspect. Charles doesn't really use his racing IQ too tough. He more or less leans on what Xavi will say to him, more or less, and kind of just thinks, "Oh, I'll just
he
boot
doesn't
it.
take the initiative.
I'm quick on it."
He doesn't take the initiative.
Yeah, he's just "Oh, fuck it. Let me just go. Let me try to do 10 seconds on a man's head top." He's not really calculated like that. Where it's the car's not capable of that. I think Charles is steady, fuck it. Let's see what happens. Fast. Yeah, basically. And Sainz no, we've got to be more calculated. Sainz is the six dictating the play, but it's just Leclerc's Nunes, just fuck it, I'll just hit from 30 yards out. Let's see what happens. Chaos.
No. Hold on.
Guardiola. What's going on here with these footballers? Wait. You put Pep in the back. You think you're Pep Guardiola. I don't know what's going on here. Before I go, I just want to leave you with a thought, listeners, watchers. Fred Vasseur, throughout the season, he's been quite stern and saying the car's fine. The drivers just need to sort it out. He's been quite on that line throughout the season saying, look, the car is okay, it's there, but the drivers need to maximize it. And maybe we're seeing that now, that one of the drivers is maximizing it. Maybe the car wasn't that bad after all. And he was
that car's bad.
I don't know why would Vasseur keep saying this throughout the season? He wasn't defending he was literally throwing his drivers under the bus. saying,
I
look, you
think
know what? They need to sort it out.
The car's not as good as he's saying. I'll be real with you. The car's not as good as he's saying. It cooks its tires every race, and I generally don't
this
think
race
it's
it didn't.
because of the drivers. Yeah, it did. Sainz was
Sainz
struggling.
literally said,
Sainz was
Sainz
struggling.
literally said, like, the tires are
Yeah,
gone,
but
the tires are dead.
It didn't cook it as quickly as before. Before it was like deep fry. Now it's like char grilled. Before it was like
shallow fry, you know.
Shallow fry. Before it was like putting it in the
Pan
deep
fry.
fry. Yeah, the
Pan
tires
fry,
are
exactly,
finished
yeah.
after like
Pan seared.
10 laps. But anyways, peace out, people. Bless.
See you later,
A
man.
bit mad. Say nothing. Oh, fucking hell. I can't even remember what I was up to now. Yeah. So answer your question, Aldas. Yeah. In the championship decider, I might lean a bit more towards Sainz because I just think he leans a lot more on his IQ. He challenges the pit wall a lot with his car. I mean, Charlotte's like, I'm quick in it, so I can just, you know what I mean? Is that sort of thing, if that makes sense?
How many tracks would you need to use your IQ at, though? Singapore, Monaco, where else? Hungary. There's not very many tracks that you need a high IQ.
I think it's more situational though as well. Like when the weather changes as well. Like that's more on the driver.
True, yeah.
Like
that
it's
is true.
I still again like don't get me wrong. I totally think that Leclerc is not having a great season. I think some of his fans are kind of like defending him and overrating a little bit too much. Like drivers can have great drivers can have bad runs and have bad seasons. Like Lewis is on a bit of a weird kind of qualifying patch at the moment, but he's still getting it done in the races. Like I think it's just one of those things. But I just want to see this from Sainz. Like I like Sainz in terms of what he's doing right now. He's having a great like couple of races, but he needs to turn up when he gets a championship winning car. I don't want to see him like. Do you remember Bahrain 2022? Like the beginning of these regs, everyone's exciting. Leclerc, Verstappen battling. Where was Sainz? He was like 10 seconds down behind them for some reason. So that's the only thing that I'm slightly reservation about Sainz. But either way, I mean they're close. You know, when you look at Mercedes and Ferrari, like they have a great driver lineup. Both of them, I think. To be honest, all four of them, even George Russell, I think on their day, they can all kind of push Max and challenge him for the world title. So, and Red Bull don't have that. So that's why they got to, really kind of, that's why Checo's under pressure, really.
I think when it comes to Sainz and Leclerc, they released a graphic the other day, didn't they, about how close teammates are together. And those two are neck and neck, basically. I think it's like 500ths of a second between each other. And yeah. So, I mean, you're not wrong for saying one, but you're not right either, basically. At the end of the day, they'll both find a way to bottom it. That is a real story. Yeah. That's a real answer.
Yeah, they will, to be fair.
Then they'll be coming with court cases like Felipe Massa about, this one done this in this race.
Give me back that championship.
Yeah.
God, I will not be there. But yeah, let's move on to. I was going to say actually, maybe Carlos Sainz should go to Red Bull. If he doesn't really with Ferrari, maybe he should challenge Max.
I don't like that Red Bull environment. I'm not sure. Even like there was
he's got to start there though. He's got to start there though. So I think his dad could stick it on like helmet Marco and that. I don't think he's one of them to lie down and take shit.
I think he'll be scrapping with Yoss though, It'll be like the two drivers and the two dads in the garage, like, scrapping it out. I mean, I think Sainz actually matches Ferrari at the moment. He's comfortable there. I think he's looking for a long-term contract there. Like that's this run. It's weird, when his life is on the line, when his bag is on the line as well, and when there's a contract as well. Now is when he turns up. I don't like that, but it is what it is.
Happens a lot in a lot of sports. Yeah, it's a funny one. It's definitely a funny one. But let's move on to Liam Lawson. So Liam Lawson got his first points of the season in his third race, I think it is now. With a P9, I think he's actually 1 point behind Yuki now in the standings, which is mad. I think he's just Daniel Ricciardo's replacements. Crazy. So Aldas, I'll come back to you on this. You're someone who has a bit of stock on Liam Lawson. You rate him quite a bit. What do you think of his performance today then? And do you think he should maybe perhaps stay in the AlphaTauri till the end of the season? Or do you think when Danny Rick is ready, I think maybe Qatar or something like that, he said he'll be ready, Danny Rick should go back in the seat?
It's a weird one, to be fair, because it kind of depends what you want from that seat. Like Red Bull very clearly want to assess Daniel Ricciardo. Like this is a bit of a, it's been weird, isn't it? Because I don't think they never saw Lawson come in out of nowhere and do this well, but he's created a bit of a problem, maybe, a good problem, but I do think that you still want to see what Daniel Ricciardo is made of. At least give Ricciardo, he was originally meant to be there, so you've got to give it to him. I think Lawson's done enough. Like, even if he ended his 2023 season right now, he has done enough to prove that he should be on the grid for next season. Whether that's in an AlphaTauri, whether that's in front of a certain American at Williams, I think we have to discuss that a little bit as well. But for sure, I think, end it right now. He's already proven that he deserves a spot on the grid for next year. And I still want to see Ricciardo. I mean, listen, I've also got a lot of Yuki stock as well. So it's a weird one because Yuki's now going to become under pressure. I think it's a weird one because one of those three drivers might end up not even being on the grid for next season. So it's an interesting one. But I think the team is definitely going to give Ricciardo the time that he deserves towards the end of the season.
We praise Daniel Ricciardo that's not on the grid next season.
God. I mean, maybe he will be back on the grid next season with AlphaTauri, and then I made a talk of Yuki might lose his seat. To be fair, I also said to talk about Williams. Yuki might go Williams. So they're very interesting ones, though. I can't lie to you, especially with the pressure that Logan is under. But speaking of Logan, let's move on to him. Actually, what is a kilometer? Martz, I'm going to see on this. What do you think of Logan's season as a whole so far, and do you think he warrants maybe a second chance next year?
No, I don't know. You know what? Yeah, he's a rookie, and I want to be fair to him, but Mick Schumacher was better, and if that's the bar, I don't think he should be in F1. I don't really watch F2, but what I watched of F2. Logan Sargeant never really stood out to me that much. I mean, he had good performances in certain races, but he never really stood out to me. But yeah, I mean, I get it. They wanted an American driver on the grid. He's a Williams Academy driver as well, and Williams kind of wanted to bring someone in who probably can do it. He was their last resort, though. He was their last resort. They went everywhere. They went to Daniel Ricciardo. They went to everyone else, and everyone else kind of rejected them because they didn't want to be at the back. And they said, well, you know what? We'll give it to Logan. And he hasn't really repaid that favor. Not really shown. I mean, he's shown a little bit once or twice, but I don't think he's shown enough over the season to say, you know what? You deserve another chance next year. I mean, when Yuki came on, I mean, Yuki is not done. He didn't have a great first season either, but you saw glimpses in Yuki throughout the season. And it's like, okay, well, maybe if you give him next year, we'll see what he can do. And then they said, okay, you did very well last year. Let's see what you can do this year. I'm not seeing that with Logan at all. Like, I don't think he really does. I think if you're going to put another driver on the grid, Mick Schumacher probably deserves it more than him. And I don't want to see Mick Schumacher on the grid again. So that's, yeah.
Right. Okay. Aldas, I'm going to give you a scenario, right? So there's 2 open seats at AlphaTauri, and there's an open seat at Williams next to Albon. Sargeant, Yuki, Lawson, Ricciardo. Who gets the seats and who sits on the sidelines? Out of them 4 drivers.
I mean, to be honest, I actually made a video about this a few days ago, or this week. I think honestly, Yuki should leave. I think he should try and leave AlphaTauri, full stop, leave the Red Bull program and go to Williams, almost start off fresh, like Albon did, because that team, the entire point of that team is to funnel drivers into Red Bull, and I don't ever see Yuki Tsunoda at Red Bull. Number one, I don't think the team actually rates him. I don't think Helmut Marko or Christian Horner actually would ever even put Yuki Tsunoda in a Red Bull. And so because of that, his time there is limited. He is just waiting for another junior or another Daniel Ricciardo or whoever it is to come in there and beat him. So I think he should jump and try and kind of get his way into that Williams. I think, under that environment, a little bit less pressure as well. We know Williams are kind of they put their arm around the shoulder of their drivers a lot more. I think him and Albon will be a very good combination. I think Yuki is a good enough driver. And then for AlphaTauri, it makes sense because you put Liam Lawson in there. So you've got kind of that Red Bull Junior kind of, building for the future. And then also in the short term, you have Daniel Ricciardo in there as well, who's maybe a bit of a more known quantity. We don't know how good he really is at the moment. So that's why we're still waiting for him to come back. But I think that's actually the best combination and honestly kind of the best scenario for everyone. Now, obviously on Logan Sargeant, I'm not gonna lie, I've got to give a shout out to a good friend of mine, JB, who literally was saying for like months now that he is literally just like Latifi, but with better PR, because he has just been like crashing like crazies. He hasn't shown enough. Like the gap between him and Alex as well, not good as well. So it's just I want to give him a chance. You know, like Martz said, you want to see him kind of do a little bit more because clearly the guy has talent. You know, he did a really good job. I remember in like the first race and showed some really good pace in Saudi Arabia, which is not an easy track, but I think the pressure is now really starting to get to him. Like even the mistake he made, it was a simple lockup, you know, into the wall. Not good. So yeah, I don't know how much more time they're going to give him or when they're going to make the decision, but yeah, that's who I'd put. I'd put Yuki in the Williams alongside Alex, and then I'd have Daniel and Liam for next season at AlphaTauri.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you on that one. Martz, what about you? Do you agree with Aldas' configuration?
Sargeant. I agree with Aldas, but put Sargeant in the AlphaTauri instead of Ricciardo.
Sargeants. So it'll be Sargeant and Liam basically in AlphaTauri.
Yeah. I don't want to see Daniel Ricciardo on a grid ever again. I'll be real.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
I don't like Daniel Ricciardo. I genuinely just don't like Daniel Ricciardo.
I love it.
He's it sounds like a proper hater thing to say, but he's just too happy to be a Formula One racing driver. I can't stand like all this honey badger nonsense. It just gets on my nerves so much. Like he's just a PR. You're just there for PR, and I feel like you need more self-respect. You were like once touted as a potential world champion, and just look at what they've reduced you to now. It's horrible to see, and I want better for him, and he's not doing that for himself. I'll be real with you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No. Yeah, and I hate, yeah, Danny Rick is kind of like, why is he hogging up a junior seat really and truly? But it's like,
yeah,
I suppose they're only doing that because they want him to, you know, put him, obviously good performances enough for them to maybe put him in the Red Bull seats. But
he's not even, I mean, the few races that we've seen from Daniel Ricciardo, he's not even really shown that he can really do that either. I know it's very tough to say because he's only done 2 races, but the 2 races he didn't really look that great. It's just I feel like Daniel Ricciardo, find something else to do. Go do Le Mans, go do IndyCar, do something. Just if you're not gonna get like a proper mid-level drive like you had at Renault, just don't bother. Like
he's chasing the Red Bull drive. I mean, we talked about Perez earlier in the pod. He's not looking at a midfield drive.
He's not better than Perez. Let's be real. He's not better than Perez. Like I
if
know
you put him. Who has a better race in Singapore? If you put Ricciardo in that Red Bull, who has a better race, him or Checo?
They do the same thing with Checo. I'll be real with you. Daniel Ricciardo is not doing anything more than Checo, and I'm not even just saying that because I don't like the guy. I genuinely believe from what I've seen and from past experience over the last 2 years he's been in the F1, I don't see him doing anything more to do more than what Checo's done. I think Checo's just very comfortable. I think if you kick Checo up the arse, Checo could do a lot more. I think Checo's just very comfortable. And at the moment, he knows he's got his contract for next year. But next year, you'll probably see a different animal in Checo. I'll be real with you. When he knows his contract's coming up for renewal, you're going to see a different animal in him. And Daniel Ricciardo doesn't have that in him. Like he'll be on the radio. They're racing me too hard. That'll be it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe Danny Rick's times maybe up soon. That's the problem. Like, I mean, of course, he wants to Red Bull drive, isn't it? Of course, he left in 2018.
34?
Yeah,
34 or 36?
I think he's like 33. No, he's not that old. I think he's like 33.
Okay.
Yeah, low 30s, anyway. So,
we still got time. I'll be real with you. Still got time, but it's not.
It's not.
If you're not. Yeah, I mean, like, you're getting to a stage where you're almost 36. If you're not Lewis or Alonso level, there's no need for you to be in F1. I'll be real with you. I mean, Checo should be the bar for an aging driver. And if you're not that bar, then there's no real need for you. Let the young talent come through, and let's see what they can do. I mean, the young talent is atrocious as well, but I rather that than watching Daniel Ricciardo just stink it up when someone else can stink it up. Gives me something more to talk about as well.
Gives you a new driver to hate, basically. Just keep him coming. Keep him coming.
Basically, yeah.
That Red Bull carousel just keeps on coming. Just more drivers and more drivers. Don't worry, I'll add Lawson to there next year.
No, I respect that. That's world-class hating. That's what I love it. I respect it.
That's Martz's bag. What do you expect?
Yeah,
right,
he's in his bag right now.
What do you think he came on? So he was George Russell Cross. He said, "Yeah, I'm on the pod." I'm like, "Oh God, you know what? He's gonna be clean also."
Hey, I didn't even have to hate on him. The tears was enough for me. I didn't have to hate on George today. The tears was enough for me. Just to see him cry, that was enough for me.
God, that's
why are you crying on TV for, man?
That's your Champions League, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, okay.
Is it time to listen to this question?
We'll get to that, yeah. But yeah, last but not least, moving to some sad news. For me, anyway. Aston Martin. That's probably the worst weekend we've had since they've came back. Like, no doubt about it. Stroll can't even start. Alonso, he got a 5-second penalty, deserved. 25-second pit stop. What else happens? He was the biggest loser in the Ocon-Perez battle. Like, I don't even know what to say. Aldas. I know, obviously, you're a massive Alonso fan. So I'm going to let you dissect this. So I don't even say what do you think, but like, how bad was Alonso's race and Aston Martin this weekend in total, in your opinion?
I mean, what's going on with Aston Martin? Because he was on the podium a few races ago in Zandvoort. Like, I think he finished second, didn't he? That race or something like that. And I don't know what's going on with this team. Like, they started off so well. The problem is it's so difficult to judge that car because it is literally a one-car team. Like, I'm doing polls in terms of who's going to win the race, and the options are, Red Bull, Mercedes, or Alonso. Like, Aston Martin isn't even a team; it's just Team Alonso because, like, Stroll is not. He's actually contributing. I think he's actually having a negative effect on the team. So it's just like it's so difficult to judge. And 25-second pit stop, I forgot about that actually. So yeah, it was a horrible race. Yeah, he got damaged, but it was just a bad race for Alonso. It was a bad race for Aston Martin. Total kind of like write-off. But it gets me a bit worried for the future because if you actually look at how strong this car was at the beginning of the season, there is still a scenario where this team could fight for, or could have fought for maybe second or third in the constructors. But ultimately, they're getting, McLaren potentially could catch them up now. Like, that is genuinely a conversation. I saw someone tweet that. It might have been, I don't know if it was like Mahad or someone at Pitstop. Like, they're looking at Aston Martin now. It was definitely Mahad. Of course it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just a massive disappointment. I think Fernando's doing the best that he can. When you actually look at, he's still fourth in the championship, only just after this race got overtaken by Lewis. First time he's out the points all season. So listen, he had a stinker. He had damage on the car. So I think that's kind of like the saving grace. But this was a bad race. And also, by the way, Mike Crack might have to go on fraud watch very soon because he's talking up Stroll as if like, he's like, his crash just shows like how committed how really committed he is. I'm like, what? What do you mean how committed he is? He was like 3/10 down. He was still going to, even if he finished that lap and didn't crash, he still would have been out in Q1. So, and Alonso still would have gone through to Q3. So listen, Mike Crack is now, his surname is going to have to start being spelled with a C, Crack, because that's what he's on at the moment. Like, I'm not liking him at all.
Look, he's just trying to prop up Stroll. That's it. I don't like it, but I get it. I honestly don't, because I seen it as well. I almost touched my phone out the window. I said, what? I said, that's what a certain driver at a certain Italian team gets that sort of excuse. It shows his commitments. I'm like, what? Like, bro, he wrote off the car? Like, what do you mean? Like, that is outrageous. But yeah, yeah, and also he's been saying other stuff like he thinks Stroll is on the same level as Alonso. I'm just like what? Like, I know you were trying to gas him up, yeah, and he probably shows probably one of them. He needs like a non motivation, but it's kind of like, fam, like, calm down a bit. This is too much. This is almost like reverse psychology, where like Stroll sees that and almost does the complete opposite. So I don't know. It's a bit, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna refrain from my crack slander just yet, but yeah, as I said, Alonso got damage on lap 2. I've seen the footage of that, and it was just downhill from there, really and truly. To be honest with you, on a track that we really should have been all righter, because we was only doing well when the track cooled down, like later on the night, for example, FP2 and stuff like that in qualifying, whereas FP1, FP3 we were kind of like nowhere. So yeah, it was a race, a weekend to forget. 100%. And Japan's not going to be any better because we're not good at high speed corners. So we need a medical drive somehow from somewhere. God knows.
Isn't there updates coming for you in Japan or something?
Listen, there's something like downgrades at the moment. No, so I can't speak on that because anytime we stop an update on it, something goes wrong. Besides put fucking this on the rear jack, this little T thing as well. As far as for updates, I don't know what that was meant to do, but that clearly did fuck all. And that didn't help with the pit stop as well because they were struggling with the right hand side of the car. You couldn't put the rear front on. They struggled to put the rear right on, and they couldn't even lift up the car properly. So it was just what can go on will go wrong, I guess.
Alonso also obviously messed up because obviously in the pit entrance he got a 5-second penalty for. He totally overshot it. I don't know if that was maybe down to the damage, but he should have done better. Like that's obviously, that was a bit of a
another up in it when coming in. So it is what it is. But Alonso stinker, you love to see it. Yeah, I mean, I was in my element, man. As I said, three ops all went down today. It was splendid. That's the word to describe it. Splendid.
This was the Martz Grand Prix,
He was eating.
The only thing that would have made this Grand Prix better would have been a Lewis win. That was it. That's it. That is it. If Lewis has won, I would have been over the moon. I would have been hosting the pod today. And it would have been a one-man pod.
God, yeah. So yeah, I don't know for Aston the rest of the season. I'm probably just not gonna acknowledge them for the rest of the season because I know I said last pod, we're gonna secure P4, but now I'm like I'm scared. I'm shocked now. Maybe if we do a Madison Vegas, I don't know, but yeah, it's still gonna be peak still. But yeah, let's move on to the rest of the grid. I think we pretty much spoke about the whole grid. I can't even lie to you. To be fair, I'm trying to think of who we haven't spoke on. Really, truly, spoke on Haas, Williams.
Alpine.
I think
Alpine.
Yeah.
Oh, you hear me?
Yeah,
let's go with Alpine. Yeah. Birthday.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, we hear
you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, mate, Alpine. Obviously, Gasly did a decent drive. Kind of, they didn't have the best kind of a qualifyings, but mate, I feel sorry for Esteban Ocon. He was doing a madness, like on track, all that racing between him, Checo, and Alonso. He was really like in his bag. Like he was doing such a good job on his birthday, and then. Like, what is it? Like Richard said, when it comes to Alpine, what can go wrong will go wrong. And like their bad reliability, that is F1 heritage right there. Them breaking down at the precise moment when their drivers are in the points. We saw it with Alonso about 50 times last season. And we saw it with, again, Ocon this season. So, that's what you get for being an Alpine driver, unfortunately. The car clearly is okay, kind of, in the midfield. And Ocon Ocon is a good driver. Like, again, maybe not a title challenger, but he's a dependable driver, race winner, of course, both him and Gasly, but it's just that team, bro. It's just that team. That's all I can say.
Aye, man. Making a man come to work on his birthday just for the car to break down. That's disgusting. That's disgusting.
It is.
Anyway, happy birthday, Ocon.
Fuck it up. It's weird as well because literally like at this track last year, Alpine also broke down. In the middle
was
of
it
the
both of them?
Alonso. It happened to Alonso in exact same sort of like situation. He was because Alonso was on about like P6 or something like that, basically in the Alpine, and he randomly broke down, didn't he?
I've just checked; it was both of them last year as well.
I was both. Oh god, that's even worse. I thought it was just Alonso. Yeah, it's just I don't know what that Alpine when it works, it's actually not too bad to be fair. But the problem is when it works, that's the key thing. So. Yeah, Alpine are good at Alpine at this rate. But rest in peace to them. So yeah, let's move on to driver of the day. Aldas, I'm coming to you on this. Who's your driver today?
There's a lot of candidates for this actually, but I'm going to go with Liam Lawson actually. I'm going to go with Liam Lawson. I know that he didn't I know that he wasn't like overtaking people on a madness, but this is a tricky track. This is a difficult track. Only, let's be honest, Zandvoort was a weird one. That was last minute. This is only really his second proper Grand Prix weekend where he gets to dial in the car, kind of know the car. Out-qualified Yuki, fair and square. Yuki kind of messed up. Didn't get the best of starts, but listen, to score points. I mean, 2 points already. Highest. He's the first driver ever to score their debut points in Singapore. And he's also got AlphaTauri's highest position this season. So he kept his cool in a really difficult situation. He did a fantastic job. So got to hand it to him.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good shot. Liam had an excellent race, to be honest with you. I think I'm just going to go for the other one, Carlos Sainz, to be honest with you. I mean, that was a statement draft today. Funny enough, this time last year, this was the race where I said Carlos Sainz is not that guy. And now you've seen in the space of, not even 12 months, but like in 2 races, like he's almost got like his finger out of his ass and said, yeah, I'm going to fight for this contract. I'm going to show what people are about. I'll be hearing the slander too much. I'm going to show people what time it is. And he has, to be fair. Like, I can't.
He's listening to the pod.
He might be. Yeah, he might be listening to the pod. I mean, 2 poles in a row against the robots and a race win. Like, you can't knock it. Like, you got to say fair play. And he's showing up his generational talent teammates, allegedly. So, listen, you can't knock it. I respect it. Martz, I know you're currently watching NFL and being stressed, but who's your driver today?
I know we won, man. We won.
Okay.
Driver of the day. I love to get to this, but it's Carlos Sainz, isn't it? I think very, very high IQ drive. I think was it Mahad or Aldas said it earlier. Best driver of his career, really. Yeah.
For sure. Let's move on to Latifi Award. Martz, Latifi Award.
Who can't we give it to? The Red Bull team, Alonso, Alpine, but I know I let him off today. No, I'm not going to let him off. George Russell. That's who we're giving it to. I'm sorry.
Man's been waiting for this.
Brutal.
You can't do this. You can't do that. Not on the final lap, man. Do you know what? Oh my gosh. That is an absolute stinker. That's like having an open goal and you literally just miss in the last second. That is horrible, George. That was horrible. But we love to see it. You like it.
Darwin Nunez kind of performance, What can you say?
Aldas, who's your Latifi Award?
I mean, to be fair, it's just because it is the Latifi Award, it's got to be Sargeant because, I mean, he was kind of like the Latifi of this race, like crashed out at the perfect moment, brought out a safety car. Virtual, I think it was. No, it was a safety car at the time, spiced up the race. If that's not worthy of the Latifi Award, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout. Or actually, I'm going to give it to Alonso today because he actually let me down. You let me down today, badly. Like, I know the car wasn't great. I know he had damage, but he was doing like horrendous. He even went off when he switched the stops as well, randomly. I thought, oh, don't tell me he's DNF'd on like lap 40, whatever as well. But it was all around honker. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to him, to be fair. But yeah,
to argue against it.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it is, isn't it? But yeah, let's roll through some quick questions quite quick. So we'll start off with Stina_season. How much of a howler is it that Alpine have had both drivers on the podium, but Aston, the old team of Ron Dennis, haven't? This is just some hater shit, to be honest with you. So yeah, Aldas, well, how is that really a howler? Is it, or just is it more circumstantial? Do you think?
No, I mean, in terms of like Aston Martin not having both of their drivers on podiums, is that what you mean? Like?
Yeah. He's saying McLaren. He's saying basically only Norris and Alonso from their teams have got a podium, but Alpine have got both drivers on podium this season. So it's kind of saying like Ryan Stroll and Piastri stepped up.
I mean, Piastri obviously Piastri's a rookie, and he was kind of sort of on the podium, in Spa during the sprint, but But again, no, I mean, Piastri's doing well. Piastri's not in this conversation. Stroll, though, 7 years in Formula One. I think he's like, I think he's in his seventh F1 season. He shouldn't be anywhere near that team, but we know why. Money clearly does buy you a seat in Formula One. He shouldn't be anywhere near. It's too high of a level for him. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Lance can do a decent job in somewhere like an Alfa Romeo or a Haas, but Aston Martin fighting for podiums, top 5 finishes, that's not his level. And ultimately, when Aston Martin underperform by the end of the year and underperform with the car that they've been given, they have no complaints at all.
No, agreed. 100%. Next question is off Ranch Dingus. Any respect for the only driver to get God Save the King on the pod? Open brackets, don't ask this to Martz. Martz, you got answer, bro.
No. Cry more, boy. Cry more. Hey, I know you were crying. I know you were crying that way you are, Chris. I know you're crying. You're crying in the car today, boy.
Listen, he's at a festival living his best life, bro. I've seen the footage.
He's crying in the festival.
Yeah, I can't disclose that, bro. I can't disclose that.
Listen.
But yeah, let me move on to another question.
He hasn't moved from the bar since.
Hey, gotta drown away sorrows in it one way or another. Okay, next question off Kunle for part of the pod, just to say friend of the pod. Why did Leclerc not have any answers to the pace of others after his messed up pit stop? I mean, we kind of already answered that, haven't we? To be fair, he was just. I mean,
his tire wear was terrible. He wasn't able to manage it like Sainz. Like 21 seconds off Sainz. Like, I don't get wrong. I know he was struggling, but it was a bit of a howler drive from him actually in clean air. Like, I know Leclerc fans will probably say, he kind of made Sainz win the race, like he gave it to him or whatever. But even when he was in clean air, like that was a really disappointing second stint. So. Yeah, a race to forget for him, but we'll see how he bounces back, I guess.
For sure. Another question off Kunle is he him? Question mark. I'm talking about the other British driver that crashed today. Is George Russell him? Martz?
Let's ask Aldas. I think I set it up with George today.
Aldas. True. Aldas, is George Russell him?
Once again, I am the public defender here, so I mean, someone's got to do it. Listen, it's one race. Like, yes, it was a bozo moment, but don't forget Sao Paulo. He is still him. Let's not forget that I think George Russell still has the capabilities of challenging for a title. Like, yes, it was a bad race. He'll learn from it, but he's been on a bit of a roll recently. Like, once he he needs to learn from this, though. Don't get me wrong, but he is him.
I'm watching closely. That's what I'm saying. The jury's off.
He's the him from Powerpuff Girls. I don't know about him as a driver.
No, strike that from that record.
Next question. Why does the Aston Martin suddenly appear undriveable for Fernando Alonso? Wasn't he singing about how great the car was at the start of the season? Where did he finish now? Ahead of Alpine? Okay, don't take the piss. We're finishing the lowest P5. Ahead of Alpine or beyond. Come on. I'm not co-signing the slander. Next question of Chris DeBar 91. Should Mercedes have let Lewis pass George to fight for the win? I guess if Lewis sets up his car better, he would have been in a better position for the race. I'll leave that open to the floor. Should he have? Do
you know what the difficult thing about this is, though? Is that they caught that pack so late. Like, they caught it with that pack with about 6 or 7 laps to go. So you give Russell, 2 or 3 laps to have a go, and by that time, if you seriously try to tell Russell to swap positions, like, do you seriously think he's going to say yes? Like, do you think he's going to do it?
Absolutely
no.
Not. Absolutely not. Yeah, waste of time. Next question off D Cousin MV1. Is Leclerc on fraud watch? I mean, that's me though. Aldas,
I think he is.
Tell me when he wasn't, to be fair. Like, listening to this pod, I think he's always been on fraud watch.
I mean, if you're proper list of the pods, you kind of know if he is or isn't. But if you're not, then
the one thing I've noticed real quick, if Leclerc ever has a howler, there is more members of like Pitstop Fracas on the pod than like any other episode.
Hey, you seen our game? Hey, you seen our game? Hey, listen.
I'm familiar with your game.
Hey, listen. I may or may not make exceptions to make an appearance on the pod when he has a honker. No comments. Talk to my lawyer. But yeah, Another question off Decals and MV1. Is Leclerc an overrated past the Maldonado? Well, Mr. Decals and MV1, if you're a frequent listener of the pods, you know we previously called him the Monegas Maldonado. So I'll leave that for your interpretation. But yes. Next question off MLG Sports 123. Is this the end of Yuki's tenure at AlphaTauri? As you said, you've already said he should move to Williams. Martz, do you think he should escape the Red Bull family?
Yeah, I don't think it's the environment for him. I think Aldas was right. Somewhere at Williams where they actually put your arm around you. You know, he has a very good relationship with Albon as well. So that he might thrive there. And I think he'll do a lot better than Logan Sargeant.
Cool. Next question off Baraka Gicheru. Sorry, I botched your name, bro. Question number 1. Is Leclerc not that guy? He's never been. No. I'll answer for you. No, he's not. Question number 2. Can Red Bull bounce back? Yes. I think we're all in agreement they can.
I mean, they're going to win the next race, isn't it? We're just enjoying it. We're just enjoying this weekend for where it is.
I was gonna say, I think I tweeted this like savor the moment. Everyone savor the moment because I swear to God, Max is gonna drop like 20 seconds on everyone's heads in Suzuka.
This is like when Mercedes, they used to drop a stinker at Brazil and Mexico all the time, and it's just like people just used to enjoy those 2 races. We're just enjoying this. This is our Mexico.
Yeah, true. Fair question. Can Lando win in Japan? I mean, I don't know.
Well, if you ask Martz, he's probably well, not Martz. Sorry, Mahad. If you ask Mahad, he's probably not even getting into Q2. So you know,
he's
trying to play down those expectations.
It's true. Last question off him: why Anik shameless? Because that's just Anik. He's just
standard behavior.
There you go, standard behavior. Next question off Ben Trouble 012. Is this just a paper patch for Sainz, or is he finding his rhythm? And does George need to focus on race setup more, or is Lewis not setting up the car enough for Quali? So, is this purple patch, or is this the real deal from Sainz?
What do you think, Martz?
Time will tell, but I think it's a purple patch.
Contract hype.
Exactly. Basically. Yeah. He's just chasing that bag. Once he secures it, like I want to see this purple patch once he actually gets the bag and that contract.
Yeah, 100%. And does George need to focus on race setup more, or is Lewis not setting up the car enough for Quali?
I think it's a bit of both. I think sometimes George doesn't set up his car well. I think Lewis is getting older, so let's just call a spade a spade. Something in his performance is going to drop off, and I think it's just Quali that's dropping off a bit. He's doing very well, and he's still beating George over the Quali. But I think just there's going to be times at this season where you're going to notice there's going to be a difference between those two, and I think it's mostly going to come out during Quali times. But I think when it comes to race, there's no one really better than Lewis. Like his race pace is unbelievable. So I think Quali, George is very good at Quali. He's on par with Lewis, I will say, for Quali. And I think you'll see performances where, as Lewis gets older, his performances will drop off a bit as he loses a bit of speed in Quali. But I think overall in race pace, Lewis will always have George until he retires.
Agreed, 100%. Last couple of questions. One off Savage Biceps. Where does the Sainz drive stack up against the single best races of the last 10 years? That's a
chill out. Chill.
Come on.
It's just a broad spectrum. We said this season, we said, but 10 years.
I'll be real. I mean, think Monza last week for Max was a better drive than this one. But it was
it's in the top 100.
Yeah. We'll leave at that.
To be fair, it's one of the best drives this season. I don't think that's a mad hot take, to be honest with you. But last 10 years, it's like, I don't know. Yeah, bit of a mad one, can't lie. Okay, next question. Sub to Sakaya. Next year, the Mercedes have a clear number 1 and number 2 driver. I mean,
they need to sort it out.
They're too close though to be like number 1, number 2. Like they're so close in quali, they are quite close. Lewis has an edge in the race, but it's difficult to kind of define them as a number one, number two. Same as Ferrari. I think like you can't say who the number one or number two is at Ferrari because it changes.
I feel Lewis is holding back a lot though. I don't think I think George is very pushing, but I think Lewis is holding back a little bit because he's not really like expending energy on useless when he doesn't feel like he's gonna gain anything. I feel like he's just relaxing and he's just taking it as it comes. It's like if the team does something to mess it up that day, he's like, well, you know what? It is what it is, and we'll just say we'll do better next time, guys. Or we got to do better. But I feel like if you put Lewis in a championship car, you will know what a number one driver is. And it will be clear of anything Russell's doing at this moment in time. And I'm not just saying this as a fan of Lewis, but this is just general facts. And it's the same thing you'll see with Max Verstappen. I feel like there'll be times if you put Max Verstappen in a similar situation, he'll cruise for a bit. He wouldn't push. But if you put him in that championship car, you'll see how clear he is of his teammate.
See that dog in him. When you put that's what happens.
He's got that XL bully in him, man.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Only on this pod we'd mention trending topics in the world today.
It's getting political.
But yeah. Trust me. No more smart whips as well. Oh, God damn. Last question of someone Baloro. What is going on with Leclerc? I mean, it was his day off.
He was chilling, bro. He's on holiday mode.
That's it. He's getting punched up by Carlito. It's that simple. It's not more.
He was on the smart whips before they got banned.
Hey, he was on the e-vapes. What was it? He was on disposable vapes. Was we having watermelon and grape? He was on that sort of wave. Yeah, that was. He was driving with smart whips. That's what he was doing. But yeah, okay. That's right. That's all for today. Thank you if you did get this far. Please don't forget to, of course, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube on the Pitstop Fracas. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Make sure to follow us on the socials on Threads, X, Instagram, and TikTok, where Martz will be doing many more dances to many more drill songs on TikTok. So please make sure to follow us there.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Don't worry, Martz. We see you, bro. You can't fool us, bro. We see you busting their moves.
I'm familiar with your game now.
Hey, listen. We're very familiar with Martz's game. But thanks for tuning in and make sure to catch us next time at Japan. Peace.